You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Relational Wisdom School, and join our Facebook group, Relational Wisdom. So we always love to check in with what's most alive. Summer, what's most alive in you right now?
Um, a bit of frustration with technology. I was trying to build a quiz and it gets me there's glitches in it. Um, and so it gets me really irritated and annoyed actually. So I have to
Uh,
then I get all like, "Ugh, what's the point of doing anything anyway?" I'm like my saboteurs are alive and well. I'm like, "Oh, wow." Yeah. So I feel
yeah.
a little bit irritated right now, to be honest.
Mm, yeah. Would you like any support?
Huh, good question. Yes, and I've reached out to some support from the support team. So we'll see if they get back.
Ah, the support team where you're creating your scorecard, whatever.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes. And I know you were asking for support from you, but I don't know if there's a way that you could do that. So yeah. My answer is
W-
I don't think so.
What in terms of like the technical support? I was actually
Yeah.
asking if you needed any emotional support for the
Oh,
irritation.
okay. Emotional support. No, I don't think so.
Mm, okay.
Unless there's
Hmm.
something that you see that you can offer.
Well, I mean, it's all about openness, right? And I don't mind just sitting in the space and breathing together if that's needed, taking your time, right? Taking a couple breaths.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm. It's a question of whether or not I'm, like, spending my time, um, productively on something that's important,
Hmm.
and how much time I wanna be spending on it.
Hmm. Right. There's a certain trade off, right? Yeah. There. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So needing some clarity
Yeah.
around it. Hmm. Whether to continue or hit the eject button.
It's more like, oh, maybe there's a different path. I guess eject on a certain part of it, but a different way of approaching the situation.
Hmm. Right. 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 Yeah.
Because I think what I'm working on is important, but, I guess it's a matter of, like it's kinda like, do you use a sledgehammer or do you use a regular hammer to hammer in the nail? And one of them doesn't seem to be working. So, anyways,
Hmm.
enough around that.
Hmm.
Sure, I'll work my way around it.
Hmm.
What's alive in you this morning, Dre?
Uh, I mean, the tech issue is speaking of one, that's what's most alive. The chat here on the restream is not working. So if you see me looking over here, I'm just looking over to see for comments on my personal page live. So that I can just be with you, right? If you're commenting. And so yeah, there is a workaround fix here. I'm feeling hmm, content, um, sense of hunger. I would desire
Mm,
for some nourishment, some like good food, good nutritious food in my system. Um, and yeah, I'm excited and curious to see where this conversation goes. You know, yeah, that's where I'm at.
yeah. What are we
Yeah,
talking about?
that's right. Well, we want to speak to that piece of John Wolfstone talked about, which he mentioned is healing from healing.
Yeah.
And what I'll start with is just reading it. Mentioned this 2 weeks ago when Naomi was here as well, sharing about our relational wisdom school and what makes us different. And I'll just kind of read it again to kind of help us land and steep into it. Sound good?
Sounds great. I love this writing. Although, yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Okay. And then we'll just see where it takes us. Healing without building a different culture to step into afterward is like pulling yourself out of a flooded river and then jumping right back in. Families are fractured, communities are scattered, intact lineages are battered. There is no village waiting to welcome most of us back. So we are left trying to heal from the absence of the very thing that will make us whole. And so, in that difficult realization, the work of healing changes. It becomes less about tending your own wound and more about helping build the place where wounds can actually be held. Thank you, John.
I love that so much.
Yeah. So I'm curious to hear how that lives in you.
Gosh, been a healer for 30 years. Most people think of therapy, it's one-on-one healing. People go to a specific healer, whatever.
Mm.
And there's groups or whatever. But changing the entire culture with which it's done in is something different. And I love the title of his piece there, which is Healing from Healing. Maybe we don't need to be healed. Fuck, how long is it gonna take? 20 years of psychotherapy?
Hey, hey,
How many
don't
vitamins
don't get
are
me wrong. There's a time and place for psychotherapy. There's benefits to it as well, right?
yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is gonna be outdated in about 50 to 100 years. Psychotherapy will no longer be needed because we don't need to judge each other. I mean, there's certain aspects that can be helpful when they've done research enough, but you know what? Judging
Can evolve,
people doesn't help people. Judging
definitely.
people does not help people. Different labels and putting people in different boxes does nothing but put people in a box. It doesn't actually help them come into alignment with their nervous system to recognize how to come out of what we call trauma, which is often regurgitating the same information and judgments we had about something that happened to us. How do we come to terms that it happened with us and move the energy that's stuck in our body? That's what I'm curious about. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I
I'm
hear a lot
annoyed
of
with having the same conversations about the same
mm,
things over and over again. I'm hoping other people are too. The
mm,
regurgitation. Oh, I'm stuck. I have the same problem. Oh, why is that? Maybe I'll try a different supplement. Maybe we need to change the paradigm that we're thinking about all of this in.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of threads here pulling in. I can hear your passion and fire, anger. Maybe there's some little, irritation there too, and there's also excitement about sharing this new paradigm. And I love to speak to this too. And there's so many doorways I want to name that I can approach this with.
Yeah.
Though it's just landing in a place for me where I'm trusted to be my own healer, to be my own guide, in a place where presence shows up so much, where I can remove the labels and the masks and professionalism and just be human with you. So imagine me stepping into a space where I can just let down the shield, the mask, what's covering here. Of course, with time, right? And who I'm with really matters, but having the skill to meet each other in our humanity.
Yes, please.
Super refreshing and
Mm.
healing and powerful. And a big piece of moving away from in terms of the paradigm is I'll speak for myself here using I language. I need to move away from needing to fix someone, from needing to coach someone, from needing to comfort them, give them advice. Yeah. All I need to do is just be present. And at
Well,
times, with
yeah.
permission,
Mhm.
reflect back what they're saying, make guesses. Guessing is super important because I'm not stating that you're angry versus are you feeling angry? Just curious, right? Giving you the sovereignty and choice to make sense of what's happening in your inner reality. Because when that happens, I'm in tuned with your essence, your heart, what's beneath the layers of protection. And that is so nourishing and generative for me. And then you're also giving me permission to go there myself as well and feel safe that you're not going to come in here and give me unsolicited advice.
Yeah. I mean, again, I mean, I've been a big advocate of self-healing for a long time. And when he talks about healing from healing, you know what? What if we're aligned? What if we're actually authentic? Gabor Mate talks about it all the time. Autoimmune disorders. Auto means authentic, means we're not being authentic. We're trying to have outside information. We're trying to look good. We're trying to impress people. We're trying to be professional. What if we don't need to do any of that stuff? What if our nervous system is perfectly functional? What if our body's regenerative and healing? And they prove that all the time. In 7 years and 7 days in some different systems in our body, it renews itself. So what keeps it looking like it's not renewed and not new all the time? It's our way of looking at things. We're in an old paradigm of thinking there's something wrong and broken, that we need to judge, analyze, and fix something, and we don't. Marshall Rosenberg talks about it all the time. He was a psychotherapist for 21 years, and he's like, you know what? I think I'm done being paid to judge people. Any diagnosis, label, or judgment is a tragic and suicidal expression of unmet needs. And you know how many unmet needs there are in our current culture? Almost all of them.
Well, big problem is because people don't know what their needs are.
No, it's not a need to go to work and make money and to have 3 jobs. That's for sure.
It's
We
more of
do
a
have a
strategy.
need for sustenance, nourishment, community, and we can't fix it all at once. But what can we
Mm.
do? For me, oh my gosh, I love getting together with the women that are authentic and they're not, you know what, if they're feeling jealous, if they have a judgment, they say it out loud. The stuff that people never say. I'm so interested in how people are thinking and their strategies for doing things because I want to know what makes me human, what makes them human, so I can understand how we got where we are. How is it that we're in one of the most violent places on the world where people are dosing up on fentanyl and drugs and all of these things, and people just leave them there on the street? I had one guy once say, yeah, leave them alone. Who cares? How did we get here? And how can I start to relate to other people in a meaningful way that feels fulfilling to me? That's what I want to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer that for myself is for me to relate to myself.
Mm,
It starts with me excavating what's happening in here. That's it. When I'm in touch with my humanity, then I'm in touch with others. Right. When I cultivate again compassion for myself, then I can have compassion for others. It just starts within myself. So doing the inner work for myself. Where does this come
yeah,
from? Where do these judgments come from? And from a place of ownership, because if I don't own my stories, my projections, my judgments, or whatever, then I'm disempowering myself. And yes, there's a part of me that just wants to be heard and be validated, and that's okay. Though if I want to then move on from it, transmute it, get the lessons, there has to be some ownership so that I can work with it. I can make gold out of it. And so by excavating myself, um, this allows me to have more compassion, more empathy, more humanity with everything around me, right? Yeah. Hmm.
right. And I'm
Yeah.
noticing this stream is not streaming on my Facebook page. So
Ah, here we go to tech problems. Curious, is this streaming to YouTube?
it looks like it. Yeah.
Yay. Okay, great.
Hmm.
Hmm. But yeah, healing from healing, right? Changing, moving away from that paradigm. Hmm. Hmm. What else is there for you that pops up?
Hmm. How do we create new culture
Hmm.
that can embrace and contain the whole of humanity, even the ugly parts. There's so many people that run away. Okay, yeah, I want community as long as it's pretty. That's not to say that we have unbridled expression or violence that's going, but how can we hold space for all that humanity has? Um, and there are some ugly parts of it, and there's been violence in our histories. It's kind of baked in. The idea that we have to fight. I'm wearing camo today because we're always fighting ourselves. Oh, I should go to the gym. I should do, all of these things where we believe we need to do something based on will alone. I'm going to will myself well. I'm going to fight. I'm going to excavate. And there is something to be said about motivation and inner tension that creates us to be motivated to do something. But how how do we choose what it is that we end up wanting to do? Is it because of some outside measurement? Or is it something that actually makes us feel alive? Is there something innate in every human being that allows us to live a life of meaning? Whether that means success in one way or another. Isn't there something innate? Don't children go to school and go, "Oh, I love learning and I get to go play with stuff." Children don't start off being like, "Oh, this sucks and life sucks." They're full of curiosity and they want to do things and they want to contribute their excitement to things. We don't start out that way. How is it that our culture is killing our innate curiosity about life and each other? And deciding that we need to be judged and diagnosed and put in little labels instead of being curious. How many people end up at the end of their life and their work and their career depressed, have nothing else to do, watch TV or sports and don't really have anything else to do? I mean, we have a neighbor here who said, "Well, I just brought another piece of property to work with because I didn't know what else to do." Like, there's got to be ways that our multi-generational society can show up for each other to start being human. There's got to be ways besides just having community halls and community centers. There's going to be a radical shift in how we care for each other. I mean, there's got to be. There's enough people that we've known recently that have committed suicide. They decide they want to get off the planet, and I don't blame them. What makes us want to be here together? So that we feel deeply enriched and nourished. And for me, it's other people. It's not the things that I do, it's the people that show up, that tell me who they are in the most vulnerable, intricate way. So I can see emotion and passion and power that lets me reflect to myself who I am as a human being. That's what I want. That's what I love. Because when I die, I'm not taking a lot of other stuff with me.
So what needs of yours are met by that?
What needs of my own? Oh,
Yeah, in those ways you're relating.
yeah, freedom to explore, curiosity, consciousness, contribution, meaning, also mourning of what was. We're all growing so fast these days. The generations, it seems to me, we've jumped 100 years in 10 years. The way that my parents saw life and what they thought it was, get a good job and have this and do this and whatever. Is that really what life's for here? Does anyone really care in 100 years what job someone had? I don't
So
think
what do you
so.
care?
What do I care about?
Yeah, what matters? Yeah.
Um, Connection with
Mm.
others, being on the planet with a shared sense of purpose, reality, being able to breathe in, smell the roses, see life, participate in it, start to see
Mm.
the beauty in everything around me.
Yeah. So
Because I
life
actually
giving,
really
life
life giving,
affirming,
life affirming.
life giving.
There's a lot of things that aren't life affirming.
Mm.
And I don't want to choose to focus on those. You know, when they say what you focus on expands. Well, if you're focusing on everything that's horrible in the world and what's negative, that's not to say you don't acknowledge that it exists.
Mm.
But where do you put your energy? You only have so much of it. Where are you going to put it? What garden are you going to grow? Whatever it is that you're deciding to grow, what garden are you putting in it? Is it a toxic garden? Is our culture a toxic garden? Maybe we want to create a different one where people flourish, where people aren't embarrassed to say what they're actually thinking, where people don't judge others for saying out loud what's true, where we can hold a container of space. Like he says, John Wolfstone, what did he say? That where the place where these things can be held. We don't have a lot of cultures where it's just held. We have a culture that boxes, compartmentalizes, puts people over here, divides people, does all of these things versus holds the container of the depth and breadth of our humanity that's shifting at a wildly rapid pace.
Yeah, I just hear there's such a deep longing and yearning for this type of culture to be birthed, to be normalized. Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, to be normalized, right? Yeah, I am pretty fed up with the old one. I'm done with it.
Mm.
I'm done. In my own culture, in my own community, we're done with it. This isn't in my own little bubble. It's no longer even a reality.
Mm.
And then what about you, Dre? I'm kind of talking because this is very passionate for me, but there's a shift in men's work or counseling. I know Connor Beaton's a big proponent of
Mm.
changing the face of what's going on
Yeah,
in that
absolutely. There's
world.
a shift from doingness to beingness, and not to
Mm,
say no more doing. You're just having the doing be informed by the being, and it comes from this perspective. Like with my work with men, is being over indexed on my mind, or in terms of
mm.
an archetype, my inner magician, learning, right? The scientific method, analyzing, intellectualizing, having this amount of knowledge. And hey, that's a superpower, 100%. But when I'm over indexed, I'm out of balance. And this idea of like, if I'm just focused on this, what about the rest of my body? It's like I'm a floating head, a talking head floating around in this world. So there's some disconnection. And so the work is now moving into the body, knowing that the body has its own intelligence, right? And that it has answers that the mind cannot access,
Yes.
right? And
So good.
energy, everything is energy. These, what you call energetic stamps, right? Trauma, things that haven't been completed, right? Like if an animal, for example, were to um, get startled or chased by a predator, prey predator, um, the prey would mobilize itself, right? S- stress cortisol spikes, adrenaline spikes, runs away. Let's say it survives, then it shakes it off. The energy reaches to completion, right? It closes a loop. Human beings are like the only organism in this world that doesn't really do that because we have this mind, right? That compartmentalizes, protects us from feeling that pain. And so these energetic loops are stuck in the body. Here's an analogy: when you eat food, what happens? You digest it and you go poop, right? You close the loop. All right. When you have feelings and you don't feel, what happens? Emotional constipation. So it impacts you. Storing all these open loops within your system, open tabs that affects your mental state, your emotional state, your connection to a spiritual power, and also your physical body as well. Soon as that energy is stuck, it starts manifesting into physical ailments. So the work is now moving men out of their head from analyzing to feeling it. We have feelings for a reason. I got tear ducts for a reason. It's gathering data, right? It's getting insight, the different muscles and parts of my body so that I can make a better informed decision that's in alignment with my truth. attunement to my truth rather than a story, a judgment that's been impacted and influenced by cultural and societal conditioning. What it means to be a man, what it means to be Asian, what it means to be Canadian, which is controlled by the rhetoric, which then enslaves me to that rhetoric. So, what is my truth, right? What is my deep truth? And it lives in my inner knowing.
Mhm.
And then I connect it with my mind, right? We're working together. It's more an integrative, a whole approach that language cannot access alone, right? Language and the mind thinking cannot access those stored bits of intelligence that lives in the heart, the gut, the balls, the spirit, other places of knowing. And so we're really landing in it by moving from a place of needing to fix to just presence. Presence. And how can that be so hard in a culture that rewards us for being busy? Me too. Got that restless in me. So that's one piece of that. And I want to just throw it back to you to see what you pulled on that, what landed for you.
Well, there was so much. Part of that is divine innate intelligence, the body's intelligence. This is such a slow processor, and it's meant to process
Mm,
what we do here on the planet. Okay, I have to go to the grocery store. I get in my car and I start the car and I take my keys. When we want to start putting different types of information together, everyone's starting to use ChatGTP. You can put it in there and it processes pretty fast and it types it all out for you. We can't do that. But our bodies are instantaneous processors when it comes to energy. Einstein. Energy can't be created or destroyed, only transformed. And it's always doing it in our body in the way of emotions, energy in motion that wants to stay in motion. And I loved how you said we need to take in energy, process it, and allow it to complete its loop. Deer runs away in the forest, they run it out. We eat, it comes out. A lot of emotions, people take it in and go, and it has nowhere to go. It's impacted and it's sitting there rotting or stewing or doing something. And it's often the result is anxiety or depression, most common, comes out in physical symptoms, fibromyalgia, burnout, adrenal fatigue, all of those things. How is it so that we're so disconnected from our nervous system and our divine intelligence that we actually make ourselves sick? And then we try to heal ourselves from being sick without recognizing the disconnection that we
mm,
have in the first place. So I believe we don't need to be healed. We do need to come and allow those energetic stamps, those energetic imprints to be released and to complete its movement. It doesn't mean forcing it, it means acknowledging it. Like you said, presence. Oh, I'm noticing something here. How can I acknowledge what I'm noticing without numbing it, without cutting it out, without if I'm exhausted, we take coffee or uppers or whatever. If I'm feeling depressed, I'm trying to pick myself up, I take antidepressants. Why are we having all these outside things when our nervous system is completely able to handle it on its own? Like you said, we're the only species on the planet that doesn't happen naturally with. Does that mean it doesn't exist? Is our nervous system all of a sudden something different than what it was when we were born? No, but we have been culturally conditioned, like you said, the rhetoric, the propaganda
mm.
that we're most attracted to when we're adolescents, because in adolescence we're confused and we're trying to figure out how to fit in and be initiated into the culture that we exist in. These days it's most likely drug and alcohol because we aren't initiating people. There's no examples of elders and people who can actually embody a strength that we want to become. Do I want to burn myself out and become sick and have a heart attack making $1 million a year in some corporate industry? Is that really what I want to do? Maybe I don't want to do that. What do I want to do? There's no really good examples. Not none. There's few. A lot of people retire out of a career and don't have the opportunity to be an elder. Not an older person, but an elder, one who imparts wisdom about life and what makes it meaningful in the first place. And for me, it's about connecting to people. It's about the abundance of life and beauty that I can see in other human beings that makes me feel so alive. It's about the touching of another spirit in their soul that is so nourishing. That's reminding me of a saying that says, you know what? People don't remember what you do, but they do remember how they make you feel. And so a lot of people want accolades and success and medals and all of these things. Well, great. What do you do with the medals? What do you do with those awards? You put them on a shelf and they get dusty as hell. It's not to say there's nothing wrong with going out and pushing your body and being successful at something, but it ends. It eventually ends. Our connection to people, the relationships that are intertwined, they're always affecting each other. Whether you can see it directly or not, it is always functioning. It's always energetically being put into the collective consciousness, the system that we're functioning in. And so I think what I'm most interested in people being conscious of their effect on themselves and therefore others, because I have seen as people move through their own blocks, their own energy, their own trauma, just by witnessing it, it moves and energy is released to this. Not because I tried to move it, not because I attempted to fix what I need to be done. It's because I listened. It's because I was present to what was. Seems so simple and so inane and so ridiculous in a way. Oh, all I have to do is say, "Oh, hi. I have pain here." Without diagnosing or labeling it, because like you said, the judgment itself stops energy from moving. If I label something, I've compartmentalized it into something, and it doesn't help it complete its movement. A deer doesn't go, "Oh, I'm in flight or flight and I have to do something about it." It just does it. It doesn't
Yeah, so I
try
just
to
wanna
release it.
pause here. I just wanna
Sure.
pause here
Yeah.
and just approach it as, like, I didn't have the education and the training and skills to learn how to be in touch with my body's intelligence, and I just wanna share that so that I can offer myself grace, that I can begin to learn to be more in tune with myself and in tune with others for a more compassionate place, for a more, integrated place where there comes a sense of lightness and relaxation rather than, "Oh my god, I'm a terrible human being for not knowing this." And
Well, I think
I've
we
just
do know
been
it.
I've just been raised in a culture, what I'm trying to say here is I've been raised in a culture to judge people. And judgment is a natural part of, like, my human faculty. And the approach is that, "Hey, it can be learned." And why would you wanna learn it? Well, it just creates more peace for me, more ease, more insight quicker. And there's a sense of like letting go and moving into my next stage of evolution. So mine can only take me so far. So that's why I just want to hit a pause because that's what's rising in me as you were sharing
Mhm. Mhm.
is I can notice there's a part of me that is feeling guilty or ashamed for not knowing it.
Mm.
Or shame on you. Like when you
Mm.
label, "Oh, look, a deer can do this, but you can't." So I just wanna just put it out there because I didn't learn this. I wasn't born with this. I mean, right from the get go, I had to get to a place of like uncovering, unlayering to get to this point of like, oh right, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. It's both left brain, right brain, masculine, feminine, yin, yang. It's it's integrative. It's wholeness. And I just want to just put a little pause here. I just saw Tracy having a comment.
Mm.
Says, "I'm struggling with forgiving. I'm
Mm.
struggling with forgiving." So I like for us to just land into that question and just see what arises that we can share our reflection in response to that.
Yeah. Hmm. I mean, I'd be curious what needs to be forgiven, but forgiving starts with a judgment of, you know, sometimes forgiveness is really interesting in our culture because it's kind of shame based. Well, you should forgive somebody for whatever they did. And there's a judgment about what they did. Um, and Marshall will even say forgiving is part of our violent language, um, expecting that we need to forego giving. Forego, forgive and forget means to give up whatever we want. And I don't think we need to do that, actually. Um, it's kind of a very obligatory thing about what we should do. And often it's kind of layered with some religious contexts about being a good person. And I'm more interested in feeling the depth of the pain that's underneath why we think we should forgive something and being in the truth that there's still pain there. Um, so that's what I would start with is, oh, maybe I can just be present to my pain, not to stew and steep in it so that it's there permanently, but to acknowledge what's true rather than maybe trying to do something based on a cultural context of what we think we should. And I don't know if that's supportive of what you're thinking about that. Andre, I'm going to pass that over to you.
Mm, yeah, forgiveness. There's a lot of rhetoric of like just forgive, just forgive. You know, if I'm not forgiving, then I'm like holding on to resentment. It's like the idea of like wanting someone to be poisoned, but I'm the one swallowing the poison pill, right? I'm the one being infected. So just let go, just let go. It's simple as that because it's no longer serving you. And I find that is such a bypass because it's advice that lacks any substance. It's um, a cognitive approach. It makes sense to the mind, but how come the body, how come my deeper knowing is resisting that? And I find forgiveness comes from being in touch with my humanity, um, and someone else's humanity if someone else is involved. Meaning, when I'm in tune into like why I did what I did, or said what I did, or said what I said, it was an attempt to meet a need, and so I can be in touch. What needs was I trying to get met based on what I did and said, and really land in that. It's like being with my inner chooser and just sitting with that of like, wow, like my inner chooser, that part of me did the best it could with what it knew to meet my need at this time, right? Let's say I'm having a hard time forgiving a mistake I made, a choice I made. And of course, there's that inner critic inside too. You know, that inner educator of like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. And it's also being in touch with that part of like what needs of that judge is it caring for? You know, if I made a mistake, maybe it cares for competency or effectiveness, or it cares to belong. Because if it thinks I made a mistake, then I wouldn't belong to this group of people. And if I really sit with that and care for both, the forgiveness happens naturally. Happens naturally. Because then I hear myself. And let's say if there was a victim perpetrator dynamic, then as a victim for myself, forgiveness comes when, of course, the perpetrator gets me, gets the impact that's left, right? Either through reflection, but really landing in their own chooser, right? Where I get to the point where, well, I'm heard. And at the same time, I get to empathize why they made the choice that they did. Let's say they made a choice that impacted me and I was hurt. But if I'm able to empathize the needs they were trying to meet based on their actions, that to me is genuine forgiveness. And that takes time. There's no rush, there's no timeline, countdown on that. And it's a process of really hearing each other and yeah, just being in tune into what needs were unmet and what needs were trying to be met by the strategies that we used. Yeah. Curious to know how that landed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting thing, forgiveness.
Hmm.
And I like how you said that it does come naturally. It's not something that's forced, that should happen. It's about breathing into what we are feeling, not what we think we should feel, but what we are feeling. And notice any judgments that come up and truly feel it. As we acknowledge what's true, it moves in our body. This is part of the divine and innate intelligence that sometimes humans try to override with their intellect or their beliefs or religious training or education. And I think what you said, Dre, is partly, yeah, well, how come we don't know this stuff? How come deer can go off and run off and we don't know this stuff? Well, I actually think it's a little more of unlearning, um, getting back into the body, being more balanced, trusting that innate intelligence again, because we have been taught a lot of external competitive type of education and not a lot of internal awareness. We've taught to override our own nervous systems, really, in the sake of, well, our culture is very driven by ownership and doing a lot, which overrides our nervous systems. And so we override a lot more than just that, including our natural ability to reconnect to others when we've been hurt.
Mm.
Grace is saying, what about forgiveness with no closure without ever being heard by the other person? Yeah,
Can you say that
I
again
mean,
and slowly? I just want to follow that comment.
what about forgiveness with no closure without ever being heard by the other person? Hmm.
Mm. Yeah.
Sometimes people die. There's a lot of reasons why people can't get that kind of closure from another person, what we perceive to be outside of us. But we can actually breathe into the innate intelligence of that situation. For example, I had a client, and some people don't believe in past lives, but often there's a different kind of closure that we can have by tuning into our own innate intelligence. What is it that I'm feeling? What would this person have been feeling? So we can actually, oh, we're frozen.
I'm here.
Dre, you're frozen. I don't know if I'm frozen or if you can hear me. You're there? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
your
I can hear you.
computer's frozen, but okay. Um, we think closure needs to be somebody else. It's actually how we complete our own emotional context in ourselves rather than anything outside of ourselves. And so, how do we breathe into what we've experienced and accept, honor, and trust what we experienced and that it's come here for a reason? And how do we allow that movement in our body? Because there's so many reasons why we can't get closure from another person. It is lovely to
Yeah.
be able to actually talk to someone and they can hear how we felt and the impact. And we do a lot of that for people to actually hear that. But the most important closure is the movement of energy in your own system, is what I
Yeah.
would say. That's what true closure is.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, just naming that choice, right? Choice in a matter of two people. If that person doesn't want to talk to me, or I don't want to talk to that person for whatever reason, or that person is not alive in the physical realm, right? um, then it's just kind of resourcing all the different tools and processes that help me complete the loop, as you were saying, Summer. And of course, I
Mhm.
want to name that this yearning desire to hear from this person, right? There's nothing that can replace that. Like me telling myself, like, what I wanted my dad to tell me when I was a little child, or having someone role play my dad, sit in is that place. I mean, that's another tool too that can move some energy and close that loop. It's just not the same as if it came from my dad, you know? There's something with that. And so my work, I'm noticing in my work, my parents are both alive, is to grieve. There's a piece of grieving the prototypical father archetype and mother archetype that I wish they should have been for me, right? And letting that go and not putting that on them, placing this projection of like, you should have been this for me, right? But they're human. They're just like me, with their flaws, with their strengths, with everything, all of it, right? With trauma. And so this is humanity of being in touch with the needs, right? And then I get to grieve and I'm still grieving, letting that go. And my process is to tap into this inner father, or to search this father archetype in a men's group or with another man that's able to be that idealized father to help me heal those pieces. Another tool that I found very powerful for me is role playing. So so if there's someone that I'm not able to talk to, someone else with the skills can hold space for me as that person, and I can just vent, judge, go uncensored, right? Swear. And this person has a skill to have empathic listening and holding presence to help me move and complete that movement and that loop and that energy. And then when I feel heard, there's a sense of relaxation, and there's an opportunity, if I also have the skills, to switch, to put myself in the position as the other person. Okay. And perhaps I might not know or have empathy. I can just pretend to be that person because I've been on the receiving end. And the other person becomes me and reflects back that person's feelings and needs. So then it gives me awareness of like, oh, this person was an attempt to meet a need, which is super powerful in healing. So these are just kind of a variety of tools of for me that I practice with is role playing, grieving process with myself. Yeah.
Mhm. Grace is saying there are people that are alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I have a different viewpoint of things. I've been hurt by people that were convicted and went to prison, whatever. Um, there, there is a thing it's called The Work. It's not Byron Katie's The Work. It's out of Folsom Prison in California. There's a maximum security prison there where people have killed people and they're in life sentences and they're doing something really remarkably unique. They invite people from the regular culture in to be with the inmates. And they learn about the common humanity between everybody and how these energetic imprints, these energetic stamps get left in the body and how it needs to complete its movement. And one of the most interesting things about that video for me was how people in the regular culture are more imprisoned than the inmates based on what they think they should do, who they think they should be, who others are, their own perceptions of reality, and that they're left more free by attending a prison and being real with inmates. And the freedom that they have to truly feel and acknowledge their own experience, not what they thought their experience was, not what other people told them, but what they actually energetically in their body felt at any given time, what their experience was, and have others witness and honor it. How many of us have that experience in life? We don't. And often we want perpetrators or people that are quite violent maybe to experience that. Maybe we can experience that with others that have a little more capacity to truly see what's going on with us, not the stories that we have. And I do believe there's a greater soulful perspective. And Gary Zukov says if we're to really engage the viewpoint of the soul, we have to understand that the atrocities such as the Holocaust and all of these things have a deeper purpose and a meaning long term. The generations of violence in our history, I believe, actually comes down to judgment about what we think it is. And forgiveness comes about naturally when we understand that no human being actually wants to harm anybody else. They don't want to, it's not their intention. And I learned that most deeply through that video called The Work in Folsom Prison. And so it gives us compassion and forgiveness for some of what we consider the most violent human beings. Um, and we judge them and we think there's something wrong with them and there's all of these things. Nope, they're humans. They're like me. And I can see me in them and them in me. And when we can do that, we no longer need to forgive somebody because we just have a natural compassion for the depth and breadth of what human and being human here actually means. And that we're not
Yeah.
above anyone else in any way.
Yeah. And there's layers to it, right? Because it's easy to
Yeah.
say, right?
Yeah.
It starts with me healing my own stuff to have my pain be witnessed and transmuted. Because if I have that pain and it's not being witnessed or connected to and moved, then it's really hard for me to be empathic to others. Hurt people hurt people. And so, how can I just be with that? And when I heal from that, then there comes a sense of humility and compassion. I'll speak for myself that I have more capacity to be with others and see their humanity because I've seen it in mine. It's always a mirror. And so, if I struggle with enemy images and projections of like I don't know, adversaries and like judgments and this and that and labels, and I still do. I have judgments of the elites of the world and what I have so many names of that, right? That's my work to work through what does that mirror back to me in terms of elite. If I say the elites are greedy, hey, what about that reflection lives in me too? That's been unintegrated, like in my shadow that I judge, repress, or deny. Or if I'm going to, they're corrupted, right? They're power hungry. Okay, I'm projecting that outside of me onto this, right? How can I bring that back to myself? And my work is to see the humanity in elites and politicians, right? To really be there. So that's my work, right? So how can we bring those judgments back to ourselves? If I'm judging someone harshly, that's an imitation because it's an activation of something that isn't complete within me, that's unintegrated. Yeah. Um, Jody has a comment. It's been interesting to start listening to my body and recognizing when and how my nervous system is activated. Your teachings are helping me to change from the inside out.
Hmm. I like how the word activation is coming about, right? And
Hmm.
activation means there's energy bubbling up. And we've been taught when energy is activated, when we're triggered, we tend to make sense of it. We want to understand it. And there's a different way to listen to what's being activated in ourselves or even in conversation with someone else. And we teach there's 3 ways of listening. One is to respond. One is to understand. Stephen Covey taught that. Seek to understand, then be understood. That's more of a mental process. And then the third way of listening is listening to be with oneself or another person. And I took suicide training and a lot of different types of training. And there's like, okay, ask them when they did it, how they did it, what they're planning, all that kind of stuff to see the severity. But what if I'm just with that other person and what they're acknowledging and feeling, and I don't have to fix them or do anything? Sometimes people find that really hard because the emotions that are there and the desperation sometimes is very difficult. It's uncomfortable for people. But what really people want, the first thing that people really need is A, to belong, and B, to know that they're not alone, that they're on this planet, that it means something. And as I've worked with suicidal people or anybody, it doesn't even, I am with them. There's a sense of being alive with someone within a network of divine intelligence of what it means to be alive. And I'm reconnected just because that person's with me. We share a nervous system. My nervous system is not isolated, it is connected to all the other human nervous systems. It's like the mycelium underneath the earth. There's a divine interconnected network that runs through our nervous systems. And as we settle down enough from our mind to be with, we reconnect at this level of divine innate intelligence that our body is a conduit to.
Yeah, truly getting out of my own way.
And out of everyone else's too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And it doesn't require any cognitive understanding or anything like that. Like nothing. Just to be with presence, and then things just appear, show up. Yeah, it's
It's
non-linear.
true.
Yeah,
It is not linear. Absolutely not. It is an instantaneous shift in reality, energetically, which is what we truly experience. We don't experience labels. What we experience is an energetic experience that lives through our body.
yeah. And the mind so desires to make sense of it. You know,
It
the
does.
logic behind it. And I find what supports the mind is using analogies and metaphors, because the mind can
Yes.
make sense of experiences that you can't just make sense of, but it's magical. Yeah. So I'm curious if there's some metaphor or analogy with just being with, presence, being in the body.
An analogy or a metaphor.
Yeah, for that.
The first thing that comes to mind is the drop of water.
Mm, mm,
Doop, and the drop hits the water and creates ripples.
mm,
Our bodies are actually 80 to 90% water. There's a memory, there's proof that there's memory in those pieces.
mm,
We communicate not just through words or physical touch. People can feel people's judgments, especially when they're stressed. You can feel what people I can often, honestly, I can read people's minds, not because I can read their mind, but because I can feel energy, and I tap into my own body and ask my body what's going on here, and it will give me images. There's different types of intuition that awaken in people. We all have this capacity to communicate at much different levels. It doesn't have to come out of our mouth. People talk about body language, but there is an energetic field.
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
That we're a
Thank you.
part of.
I love that. Speaking of water, because thank you for invoking something in me. I like to use
Mm.
the example of flowing water, right? When water's flowing, right? It's like fresh, refreshing glacier water, right? Down a river. Oh, like just want to be in it. It's refreshing having water splash on you. It's aliveness. The idea that like there's a flow going back to like, I eat food, it gets digested and it comes out, right? As bodily fluids, there's a flow. But what happens if I block that flow? Constipation, right? How does it feel to be constipated? Irritable, right? Stress, tense, stuck, right? Not good. But the same thing with water. If water's not flowing, what happens in the water? When the water stalls, it gets dirty. It starts breeding like maybe a lot of mosquitoes. Who's a big fan of mosquitoes? I'm sure no one are fans of mosquitoes. They have a right to be on this place. It's part of the circle of life. I totally get it. They love me and they don't love summer. Okay. Thank you very much, mosquitoes. I love you too. Anyways. still water breeds disease. So how do we get connected to our body in the same way of allowing that energy to move through instead of getting so focused here? And I'm not against this. I love my brain. I love it. I have a background in software development for 12 years. I live in here. I know what it's like to live in here. But now I know how to work this along with this. And I'm just much more happier, much more peaceful, much more at ease, much more self-worth, much more self-respect. And you know what my word is this year and the rest of the year, maybe into the next year, is kindness. I'm
Yeah.
much more kind to myself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's true.
You really
Mosquitoes eat
yeah,
him alive, and they don't even touch me.
they love me. They love me.
They love you. You hate them, and they love you.
I'm
And I think
juicy.
that's part of actually the
Maybe.
truth of all things, right? When we have a charge, we attract the law of attraction, right? When we have a charge towards something, we relive the same experience over and over again until we can come to neutral in our own being and in our own body. And that's
Mm.
completing the movement that we need to complete. And energy does it on its own. It's a relearning. It's a remembering. It's not that we have to learn, we have to unlearn all of these
It's a remembering.
judgments and labels.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our ancestors was before technology, before the advent of TikTok, the internet, cell phones, TV. We were in tuned with nature, right? We could tell what time of day it was just by looking at the sun, right? The seasons of when it's coming, when animals come out. We're in tuned, symbiotic relationship, and so yeah, it's just bringing our technocracy and merging it right with more spiritual development. Materialism, right? There's a place for that. Not to get rid of it and just live in a cave here, you know? I do enjoy the richness of civilization of life. but how to bring that spiritual awareness and development in so that, with great power comes great responsibility. How do I wield the tools that I've been giving, right? Right? Like give Summer the basketball, right? She doesn't turn into Michael Jordan, right? Okay, I'm
How
not
do
gonna
you
put you
know?
down.
I was a
I'm
great
not.
basketball
I'll
player,
just talk about
actually.
myself. You put the basketball on me. I'm not gonna be Michael Jordan, right? You put the basketball on Michael Jordan. See what he can do, right? So yeah, I'll have to shoot some hoops. That'd be cool.
Maybe we should do that. Let's go get a basketball.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Let's do it. And just caring for time. Take us home, babe. Any last comments?
Hmm. You can't think your way out of something you felt your way into.
Hmm.
What we think this world is, it is not. Yoda, there is no try, only do. And so when people are saying, well, I'm trying to forgive, I'm trying to do that, it's so much energy. It's
Sourceful.
exhausting to try. Be kind. Breathe into
Yeah.
what is. Byron Katie has a book, Loving What Is. What does that really mean? It means removing judgment from what I think my life should have been to what it is, because there's so much magic in it. There's so much beauty in who you are and your life as it is, no matter what it is. Um, yeah.
Mm,
Even
I
though
love it.
that can be hard to accept sometimes when our
Mm,
saboteurs or our judgments and this has taken over. But there are ways out, and one of the quickest is in resonating with another's nervous system because it's an instantaneous upload. It's like plugging in I don't know, you're more into techie and community. Once you plug into someone else's nervous system, it's like an
download,
instantaneous upload and upgrade.
upload, download. Yeah.
Upload and download. We do resonate with those that
Yeah.
we are most in proximity to, and choosing the culture that you want to be in And one person said to me recently, some people really appreciate authenticity and others don't. And I'm like, run towards those that appreciate the authenticity. Surround yourself with it.
Yeah. Mm, awesome. And so check out our website, www.relationalwisdomschool.com. Yeah, relationalwisdomschool.com. If you're not part of our Facebook group, check us out at Relational Wisdom. And we have a YouTube channel where you find our past streams because Facebook removes them, right? But you want to see our past streams or past videos, it's at Relational Wisdom School. So YouTube at Relational Wisdom School. Until then, be well. Take care. Enjoy life, the juiciness of life, and calling in presence. If you could just be a little bit more present, just a little bit more with yourself, and just pause and take a breath with a sigh. Yeah.
And if you're finding it hard, reach out. There's lots of
Mm,
people who can hold presence for you
yeah.
until
Mhm.
you can do it for yourself. We're not meant to do
100%.
this alone.
Yeah. The power of modeling, right? Yeah. It's real. Okay.
Yeah,
See
and
you
our
all
current
next week.
culture model something yucky. Yes. And let's go get a basketball.
Yes. All right. Bye for now.